And I want to ask you today, is it well with your soul? Or do you, like me, sometimes think that Jesus is asleep in your boat? Where is he? And that's exactly what I felt like when our family holiday, so carefully planned, ended up in tatters. With President Trump deciding he's going to start a 48-hour war with Iran, being no student of history, didn't realise it's going to go probably for 48 years. Perhaps it's time prophecy, one day for every year. But we as a family had planned this magnificent holiday. We were all going to go to Italy, the children, the grandchildren. We were there to celebrate two significant birthdays that our family is going to enjoy this year. Cherie turns 70 and our youngest boy turns 40. So of course, with the war, what happened was Cherie and I ended up in Italy all by ourselves, and our family who had planned to go through Dubai had to cancel. And I can tell you, we were feeling pretty miserable. We were really looking forward to having that wonderful experience in Milano, because Milano is one of my favourite cities. It's just so beautiful, the shops are magnificent, the weather's great, there's so much technology there, and I really was looking forward to enjoying it. And so I must say that when we arrived in Milan, Cherie and I were both feeling pretty flat. And we had to change our itinerary a bit because the family said, don't you go and do those things that you were planning to do with us. We want to do that perhaps next year. And so we had to decide on what we were going to do. And one of the things that we decided to do was that we would go to this monastery. This is the Santa Maria del Grassi. And does anyone know what is inside this monastery? Well, it looks pretty uninspiring, doesn't it? And I must say, I hadn't really thought too much about the Lost Supper. I love it. I love the tapestry that we hang on our wall that Roy Gale did. The picture's magnificent, but I really hadn't thought too much about it. When Cherie said, hey, did you know the Lost Supper is in Milan? No, I would have thought it's probably in Florence or Rome, anywhere, but not Milan. It just didn't seem to fit. Why is it in Milan? Well, let me tell you, have a good look here because this part here you will see features in the next slide, because you all arrive at this monastery, you wait, you've got a book, and they will only allow 20 people at a time to go inside to see the fresco, which we now know as the Lost Supper. And I was so ignorant, I didn't realise that it was a mural or a fresco. I thought it was something the size of our tapestry out there, a nice little painting that could have been transported around the world. So we met our guide, we were taken inside, and the first photograph she shows us is this one. And she wants to point out that the fact that the Lost Supper is still available for us to see today is an amazing miracle in itself. It's over 500 years old. And the photograph she's holding here is the result of an Allied bomb that hit the monastery towards the end of the war. You'll remember that feature there in that photograph, and virtually the only other substantial wall that survived that bomb was this one. And this showed what they'd done to actually protect the painting, The Lost Supper. They estimate that if the bomb had actually landed 1 metre closer to this wall, we would have lost the Last Supper. So how carefully has the Last Supper been preserved and cared for? Well, quite appallingly, it hasn't been well looked after at all. Napoleon's troops actually were in this room where the mural is painted on the back wall, and they used to have pot shots at it and used to house their horses in it. Even more appalling is that a couple of hundred years after this wonderful work of art was created, the monks that used this room as their dining room decided that they were sick of having the food just arriving a little bit too late in their dining room because the kitchen was on the other side of this wall, that they would actually knock a hole, which they did through the middle of this magnificent painting so that they could get a more direct carriage of food. So what is the Lost Supper? Well, of course, you probably all know Da Vinci was the artist. And at the time that he was commissioned to do it, these frescoes were painted very, very quickly. So the artists that were always commissioned to paint these works of art had to be there when the plaster was wet and being laid, and the paint would go in there, and the artists would have to work incredibly quickly. So when Da Vinci was asked and commissioned to paint this back wall of the monks' dining room, he said, "I'm going to do something revolutionary. This has got to be something that you really take your time with." And very much to the angst of the monks, he actually took 3 years to build, to paint this painting. And the records show that some days he would just stand in front of that wall, looking at it and imagining what he was going to paint. And when he did paint, he would often paint from morning to dusk. But he had a vision. And what's so revolutionary about this painting is not just the way he painted it or how he painted it. It is revolutionary because up until then, paintings of the Last Supper just showed people all sitting. The disciples virtually were all given virtually the same appearance. They all adopted the same poses, and all of the martyrs up until that time and saints would have that gold halo effect over their heads. And Da Vinci thought, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to create an animated event. I'm going to create a painting immediately after Jesus announces, "One of you will betray me." And so what he wanted to create was not just everyone standing static. He didn't want just to create disciples that all looked the same. He wanted in this painting to actually show the reactions of the 12 disciples all seated at the table. It's like an animation. And so we had this explanation and how carefully he created it, because he composed it so that there were 4 groups of apostles. The apostles were 3, Jesus in the middle, 3 and 3. And so our guide explained so many things to me that were just totally new to me that I would like to share with you. Because, having turned up there and thinking Jesus was asleep in our boat, I can tell you that the experience we had from the moment we walked into that room was a God moment. It was overwhelming. I think the size of the painting absolutely astounded me. It's 10 metres wide and 5 metres high. And at the end of this very big dining room, it actually seems to make the room larger. But you really feel from the moment you walk in there that indeed you are part of what is an amazing scene. And of course, we were prepared to see this doorway that the monks 200 years later decided was more important than to actually keep and preserve the painting. And amazingly, of course, what they've cut out are the feet of Jesus. Having done that and having that sort of shock and reality, we went back and just sat and just looked at that magnificent painting and started to see what Da Vinci was actually doing, that this isn't a painting, this is in fact a sermon. And so let's start from left to right. So here, this is the disciple Bartholomew. You can see him leaning forward from his seat, startled, eager to hear more. His body is tense, as if ready to rise. The disciple next to him is James the Lesser. You can see behind, he's thrown his arm out in surprise, and he's looking towards Jesus in the centre with absolute disbelief. And then, of course, next to him is the disciple Andrew. He's raised both of his hands, a gesture suggesting shock. Not me, I'm innocent, it's got to be somebody else. And then as you move along the table, you get to see this man here. So who's this man? So of all the disciples that are clearly in a line, this disciple is not in the same line. He's out of alignment. You can also see that he's in a shadow. So who is it? Of course, it's Judas. He, of course, is out of line with all of the other disciples. And you may be able to see, it is a bit hard, he is clinging with this hand on a bag filled with money. And just in front of him is this, which is a salt container, which he has knocked over. And that signifies a representative that the promise has been broken. It was a very significant feature in those times. Of course, the man behind here is, guess who? Peter. Because if you have a look here, you can see the man of action. In his hand is a knife. I'm ready for action. I'm going to take things into my own hand. And here, of course, is the controversial figure of John, the beloved disciple of Jesus, upset, contemplating what this means, the sensitive one. And then as we move past Jesus, we see this man with a finger raised. Who's this? Who would ask a question? Thomas. Thomas with his finger raised. And I associate with Thomas, I like to ask questions, and I think he gets a bit of a bad deal. Next to him is James the Greater, arms wide out and saying, surely there's got to be more to this. What can we do? This is just stunning news. And then next to him is Philip, who places his hands to his chest. Surely not I, he says. His posture is to convey his sincerity and concern. And then moving along the table, you see Matthew, the tax collector, arms back to Jesus, talking to the other disciples here. What are we going to do? What's happening, he's saying. And next to him is Jude, who's talking to the last person here, Simon. And they're discussing, what does this mean? What can we do? But the amazing thing about this painting is that your eyes just automatically come back to the centre of the painter, Jesus. And rather than having the halo above his head, Da Vinci has very cleverly placed him in the middle of that window behind so that his presence, his image radiates out. And look at the Jesus that you see. just declared that one of his beloved disciples is about to betray him, and yet here he is, serene, composed, his arms stretched out, welcoming and inclusive. We know so much more about the painting because it is one of the most copied paintings ever. And lots of paintings actually record and depict that scene. None as well, but you can see in here more clearly, for instance, Judas clutching his money bag and the little salt that is tipped over here. But wherever you go in that magnificent room and seeing that magnificent painting, your eyes come back to Jesus. And it's no illusion because what Da Vinci actually did when he painted that was to use the architectural features of the room and the planes in his painting, what they call linear perpendicular. And so wherever you are, your eyes actually go back to the centre of that painting. And I tell you, as we contemplated that beautiful painting, saw that beautiful image of Jesus with his hands outstretched, it was one of those God moments when you thought, yes, we have a wonderful Jesus. And what it did was obviously focus us back on the real centrepiece of this painting, the beautiful painting of Jesus, the loving Jesus, the Jesus that has got his hands outstretched for us, saying, I want you, no matter what you've done, what you're going to do, come and live with me forever, because my promise to you is that the best is yet to come. And what a privilege we've got that we can love this Jesus, we can worship that Jesus in the freedom of our society today. And that's what's so great about Sabbath School, because today we're going to open the book, we're going to learn more about this wonderful Jesus that is the centre of our lesson today.